I remember a couple of years ago, maybe 2016, 2017, a lot of NBA fans was like, look, outside of those two franchises, or fans of those two franchises, everybody would say, look, why even play the season? Why don't we just fast forward and have the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Cavaliers? Just get it, get it. I mean, we already know who's going to go. There's no competition. There's no parity. To an extent, it was true, but it got a little bit better. Kevin Durant switched conferences, as did Kawhi Leonard for 1 year at least. LeBron went from east to west. Some of the younger franchises in the Eastern Conference, younger teams, I should say, not younger franchises. Some of the younger teams got better. Uh, some of the other teams throughout the NBA, they got a little bit better through drafts, players uh, going through their natural, progression, getting better. Boston, Philly, some of these teams got better. We saw what was going on with Miami, right? So there has been improvement when it comes to parity in the NBA. That's only going to go but so far in the NBA, and it's by design. So I can't complain too much about it. By that I mean, look, the NBA, one or two great players can push you to a championship. It can be the difference between having a mediocre team and a championship. That's not really the case in the NFL or Major League Baseball. You know what? The NFL is what 40 or 50 people on a team. Major League Baseball is 26 players on a team. Even the way the game is designed, Major League Baseball, there's this big park you play in, this big huge park. You know, NFL huge stadium. NBA is just a 94-foot court with 10 players. So the impact of two or even three great players has such a much more devastating effect on the opposition than two of great players in the Major League Baseball or even the NFL. Especially considering the fact that the offense and defense don't play on the same that they don't play at the same time in either other sport. So there's going to be more parity. That's why there's different champions every year in the NFL or Major League Baseball or whatever, right? So I understand it. I get that. We all have to accept that. But what I don't accept is the fact that, at least in my eyes, the media is playing far too great a role in dictating what we watch. You see, look, from a fan perspective, we want more parity in the NBA. The media doesn't. The media doesn't want parity. Look at what they cover all the time. And football, what teams they talk about? Dallas. Mind you, Dallas hasn't won a fucking thing in 25 years. They talk about Dallas every fucking day. Why? Because Dallas has the number one fan base in the NFL. So called America's team. In Major League Baseball, they talk about the Yankees. The Yankees have the biggest fan base in the league. Even though they haven't won a World Series in a decade, they've had some good teams, they have some good players, but they just don't talk about, certain teams. Like, I don't remember them talking too much about the Kansas City Royals. Didn't they win a World Series a couple of years ago? I don't remember them talking about them that next season. They talked about the Yankees. What can they do? I'm sure they talked about them, but they didn't talk about them like they talk about. And look, I understand that completely. That's just the realities of sports. They're going to talk about in the NBA. They're going to talk about the Lakers because LeBron's there. They're going to talk about New York, even though they suck. They're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors because they have a huge fan base now. They're going to talk about the Miami Heat because that's a large market. And you can also rest assured they're going to do something to try to make that Miami Heat team a title contender because it's a large market. Sports to an extent is rigged, okay, to a great extent. Not totally the way some people push it, like some of these extreme channels, but sports is rigged, in my opinion, to a slight extent. The thing that really gets me, though, is it's not enough for these guys to just talk about a few select teams. They want to make it so that every great player in the NBA is on and only play for the teams that they cover or want to cover. And a lot of this shit is self-serving to me, in my opinion, on their part. I mean, we see it historically. Um, there was a lot of pressure for Shaq to leave Orlando and to go to LA. This is before social media. LA, huge fan base. Well, Shaq, that's where all the great big men have won. That's where all the great big men, Chamberlain and Mike and Abdul Jabbar, follow their legacy. Yeah, and also go to one of the largest fan bases in the NBA, so we can cover you over there. Even Kareem, he left Milwaukee, even though he won a title there, but he left Milwaukee and went to LA. Whenever I see a situation where there's a great player in a small market, usually there's a push for him to leave that team and go elsewhere. We see that all the time. We saw it with LeBron James. LeBron James, Cleveland, playing for his hometown team. The media pressured LeBron James to leave Cleveland. Pressured him. But those who are too young to remember it, they don't remember that. But I remember it. We all remember how they all put so much pressure on him to leave. The king without a ring and all this shit. But what really gets me, man, is what they're doing to Giannis right now, man. What they're doing to Giannis, it's sad. The way that they're pressuring this guy to go to another franchise to win a title. But really, what they want is, I'm gonna tell you something else too. A lot of these guys have agendas. Shout out to Ticket TV because I think he's correct. I saw his video today. Shout out to Ticket TV. He said something about he think there's some communication going on between the Lakers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Um, that could be true because I suspect I can't prove it. I suspect that the Lakers or someone within their organization snitched on Milwaukee with that Bogdanovich deal. You know what I'm saying? Even though, look, you also got to blame Milwaukee for that too, for vocalizing that deal too early anyway. But something's going on with Giannis. Up until recently, Giannis was firm in his commitment to win on his own terms, to be the man. And now he's talking about he doesn't mind being a second option or to another player. He's talking in a way that he hasn't talked before. And I think he's succumbing to the pressure of winning a championship. And this is where the media is very hypocritical. Okay. Number one, if you notice, the media has, for the first time, been negative on James Harden. It's the first time I really remember them being negative on James Harden because he's been demanding a trade. But yet, the same media was cool with Anthony Davis leaving New Orleans to go to LA. When Davis demanded a trade to leave New Orleans to go to LA, they had no problems with that because that was benefiting both LeBron and the Lakers franchise, which is one of the biggest franchises in the NBA, the biggest franchise historically. They had no problems with that. But James Harden, well, I don't, guys know I'm not a fan of his game, but at the same time, now it's a problem with when he voices a concern to leave. But another thing that gets me is this. And I was talking to my boy 78 Sports TV. He said this, man, and I had never thought of it before. But the media is also self-serving to a great degree. Look, if you're Stephen A. Smith or Max Kellerman or whoever, right? Especially if you're a single sports media member, and let's say Giannis makes it to the NBA Finals, would you rather visit Milwaukee, or would you rather spend your time? Would you rather spend that 2 week period in LA or South Beach or New York or Milwaukee? I'm not knocking Milwaukee. I want to visit there someday. I like their weather. I'm a weirdo. I like snow and cold and shit. But honestly, most people, if you ask them where would they like to vacation, they're going to tell you the other three cities I named. So the media, the sports media, is very self-serving when it comes to that. Very self-serving. They want to spend their time in the nicest restaurants and the nicest hotels. Period. So that is in the back of their mind. You know what I'm saying? They also have certain people that they probably want to hook up with in these. You know what I'm talking about. You know what time it is. So at the end of the day, especially a man whore like Stephen A. Smith, dude not married, shit, he's a man whore. He got hookups all over the United States. Probably ain't got none in Milwaukee, but he probably have them in New York. So at the end of the day, yeah, I do blame the media for this shit, man, because it's not enough for them to only talk about one or two or three teams, but now they want to pressure people. They're using their influence to truly pressure great players to go and join up on other great teams. So it's going to get to the point now we got the same problem we had 3 years ago or 4 years ago, where the only teams legitimate chances to win titles is going to be like the Lakers and maybe the super team in my and it's really going to be two teams. If Giannis goes to the Lakers, right, they might as well just give the title to LA. I mean, seriously, they might as well just give the title to LA. If James Harden goes to Miami, how that will work, they'll be a good team. But I mean, look, if you have a team with LeBron, Giannis, and Anthony Davis, um, I'm sorry, but that's not just a super team. That's 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 like two players missing from an all-star squad. Okay, do you think the media gives a fuck? No, they don't care. That gives them a chance now to legitimately talk about the Lakers every fucking day, 24/7, and people are gonna watch. They're gonna say they don't like it, but they're gonna watch it. And that's what's killing my spirit with sports, man. I'm not saying that, you know, the NBA has always had parity and it's been always fair and all that, but at least in the past, with some exceptions, you felt like your team. might have had a shot. Like if we just get a piece here or there, you feel like your team might have a shot one day. Um, Even with teams that were champions back in the day, even the Bulls, you felt like the Knicks could get them. You feel like the Knicks had a shot at beating them in '93. You feel like the Knicks could have beaten the Bulls in '92. You felt like Utah could have beaten them in '97 and '98. It was possible. The Pacers nearly beat the Bulls in '98. The Suns should have beaten the Bulls in '93. Portland had a chance at me. See, what I'm saying? These series were competitive. It's getting to the point where there's no competition even more. It's like the competitiveness of it is just being killed. And that's why I really hope Giannis stays with Milwaukee. Buck this trend. Because if he leaves, to me, if he leaves Milwaukee, I think it's going to devastate that franchise. And I think that if he leaves and goes to, you know, whatever. Let's say he goes to the Lakers or he goes to Miami. Let's say there's a super team where it's him and Harden in Miami, and then they're the favorite to win a title. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Um, it's not good for the NBA. Then that's the case. Then Zion be like, well, look, why should I have to work hard and wait to win a championship? Maybe I should leave when my contract is up and go team up with Durant and them, you know. And at the end of the day, man, it's just gonna become the death knell for small market teams. Nobody will want to play if you're a really good player. You're not gonna want to play for any small market team. You know what I'm saying? Um, because there's gonna be this push for you to win a championship. I'm talking about great players. There's always gonna be this push for you to win a title. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't get it because Giannis has only really been a great player for 3 years now. I mean, he's been in the league longer than that. I was one of the first ones to notice that he was becoming a great player. He's been a great player for like 3 years, and there's already this unbelievable pressure on this 25-year-old to win a championship, as if his career is coming to an end. He just got to win now. And I hate to keep bringing this guy's name up, but let's see if they give. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll apologize. I'll do my mea culpas. But I want to see if the media will pressure Luka the same way they pressured LeBron, the same way they pressured, a Kevin Durant, or the same way they pressured or are pressuring Giannis. You know what I'm saying? I want to see if the same thing happens with him. I suspect it's not. They're going to give him that pass. But tell me what you guys think.